Good morning and welcome back to the Water Innovation Nation Celebration Virtual Summit. This is the beginning of week 2. Remember, we took off Labor Day weekend. So Labor Day was yesterday on Monday. So today is Tuesday, September 3rd. And let me go ahead and pull up my slides so I can walk you through our daily overview, letting you know the amazing programs that we have set up for this week. And just to give you a general sense, last week we kind of focused a little more on water and wastewater utilities and water in the home. This week, we shift a little more to more of the industrial folks, right? The manufacturing companies and the oil and gas companies and all the water startups that have specialized technologies to address their needs. So, and as you know, this is if you're new, if you just started, this is a 2-week event from August 26th to September 6th with a break for Labor Day. 49 interviews across 7 days, 4 days last week, 3 days this week, plus a grand finale. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. That's our grand finale on the 6th. So, what we tried to do with this summit is we really wanted to bring together a taste of all the different components of the full water startup community. So obviously, one part of that is the startups themselves. On our little Olympic rings, we represent those in blue. And then you have voice of the customer, right? Voice of customer, that's green. That's where your money comes in, right? So that's New York City, DC Water, Hampton Roads, Louisville. This week, we've got BUFA, Heritage Group. We also hear from a couple of industry associations. Last week, we heard from the Association of Metropolitan Water Agencies. This week, today at 9:30, we are going to hear from the Water Reuse Association, which not only works with water utilities, but also a lot of industrial facilities. We've got new data centers and all that. So there's a lot going on in industrial reuse, often in partnership with their local utilities, right? So show me the money interviews with top water investors and funders. We did more of those last week. And this week, we're shifting the focus more to the ecosystems of support, innovation hubs, accelerators, advisors. We also had some podcast hosts last week. And if you missed last week, I've got a special surprise for you. So there's a way for you to access those. So the themes that we have across the 2 weeks. Last week, we had tools for watershed management and stakeholder communications, innovations for water and wastewater, green communities, environmental justice, water in the home and residential fixtures. This week, as I mentioned, more of an industrial focus. So today, we're going to really get into some of the industrial treatment. Desalination. This is really a hot topic, right? Desal and reuse, various forms of reuse. And then also disaster response, which often involves, desal and other kind of emergency treatment processes just to kill whatever's in the water so that you can drink it after a hurricane or a typhoon. Or if you're living in, arid regions that are running out of water, right? So, we've got some really cool presentations. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. And then tomorrow we're going to get into really get into some of the advanced treatment for PFAS, those forever chemicals, very hot topic. And there's a lot of different ways, some people are using tornadoes and ultraviolet and forward osmosis and all this other stuff, right? And then Thursday, we've got a bit of a hodgepodge. We've got metals monitoring and advanced treatment, as well as looking at water sustainability in consumer products and hydropower. And then finally, on the last day, we've got that future water entrepreneurship webinar. You're going to discover the 3 biggest challenges facing water entrepreneurs and the entrepreneurship community. We're going to look back at the recent history in entrepreneurship and what's changed and why we see what we're doing as the path to the future for water entrepreneurship. So, and if you're not familiar, if you don't mind, I'll give you just a really quick overview. This whole summit is kind of a taste of Water Pitch, the Water Startup Matching Extravaganza. So nearly everybody on this summit presented, pitched, or reverse pitched at one of our Water Pitch events. These are high energy, high engagement events that empower, showcase, and connect water startups with investors, federal funders, and clients. We treat water startups as the superheroes. It is a startup-centric approach. There's a lot going on in the water innovation space, but usually they have what we call startups on the side, right? Little row in the expo, maybe you'll have a little session where they kind of march across the stage like Miss America. They get to the center of the stage, they do their little bit, and they march off, and you don't know who you're going to hear from next, right? So our goal is to really serve and support the startups and those who want to work with startups with a goal of matching at least one potential investor, funder, client, or entrepreneur support program with every startup. Some of the things that we include, we've got pitch and reverse pitch in theme sessions. We sort everyone out similar to what we did here on the summit. We have a lot of support before the summit, pre-event virtual pitch prep and practice sessions. And then we also have on-site presentation coaching where they actually get to get up in front of an audience and practice delivery, which after years of being on Zoom, that's very helpful. And then the audience actually gets involved. They have audience voting and feedback and opportunities to connect with every single startup and every single presenter with best pitch awards. And so we got some really great service providers like startup law firms and pitch coaches that are providing those awards. The reverse pitches, we invite several water and industrial clients, and we really ask them to get very clear on, what are they looking for? What are their top challenges? What's driving the market right now? What's driving their need for that right now? Is there a deadline? Is there new funding? And then how do startups get in the door? Same thing for venture capitalists, angel investors in corporate venturing, and for federal funding and foundations. What are they looking for? What are the requirements? What do they offer? And then finally, those entrepreneur support programs, those ecosystems of support that we talked about earlier. Exhibit spaces, networking breaks, matching support, even the most introverted startup founder can get the support they need to connect with all the amazing people that we have here. And the exhibit space is really very valuable because a lot of folks, it's very hard to present in a very short, as you can see, I'm going very quickly on my presentation because I have a short period of time. You're just flashing up slides, but people in the water space are very tactile, very kinesthetic. They like to get their hands on things. So we have that exhibit space for the startups to actually show what their technology does. Okay, promotional materials, you've seen some of that with the summit. We do the same thing for our live events, and then, for each speaker, for each session, and then the opportunity to be selected for next year's summit. And we are going to be in Cincinnati on November 7th. The presentation coaching is on the 6th, and then the morning of the 8th, we're going to have a licensing workshop with US EPA, which has all this technology that they can't commercialize, so they're looking for licensing partners. And then Cincinnati, by the way, is where the EPA labs are. And then February 12th in Washington, D.C. at DC Water's HQO, this amazing facility they have. Again, we have the presenters come in the day before on the 11th, and then on the 13th, we're selecting a few startups to put together congressional briefings as part of our Water Entrepreneur Leader Lab. Okay, let's get to the summit, today's summit, how to get the most out of your summit. If you've selected what sessions you want to attend and you go to that page, at the time that the broadcast starts, you're going to see the page refresh, and suddenly you're going to see a video there. So you see there Tom Dobbins from Association Metropolitan Water Agency showing us the different levels of the TRLs, the technical readiness levels. So anyway, at the scheduled broadcast time, you're going to see that video starting, and you got to hit the play button for your video to begin. And by the way, you can move the slider. You can start it over. If you come in late, you can jump ahead. We actually have timestamps on the talk summary. So if you just want to jump, you don't have a long time, you just want to jump straight to the presentation, you can do that. And then we've actually just changed this replay for we've just added our general admission tickets now have replays through the 9th of September. So I'll change that later. We also have VIP registration with lifetime unlimited replays. So we've changed it. It was 6 months. Now it's lifetime unlimited. You're going to get a contact list, transcripts, and a special discount to come to our live event, which of course is what we would like you to do. We would love to see you in person where you can really connect with the folks that you see on this summit, right? Okay, so today we're going to talk about industrial treatment, desalination, and reuse and disaster response. So we're going to kick it off right at 9:30 with Zach Dorsey, Director of Strategic Operations for Water Reuse Association. He's been at Water Reuse for a very long time, really has a good understanding of what they're doing over there. We're going to be talking about innovative utilities and industries using water reuse across the U.S. They're actually getting ready. You can see behind his head there on the screen, their industrial reuse conference is coming up in November. And, there's, like I said, there's, all these new data centers and other high water use, high water impact industries are looking at capturing and reusing water on site, and often collaborating with local utilities on how to do that. If, especially if they're in a part of town that they just don't have service lines going out there yet from the water utilities, if they can not cause the utilities to have to suddenly build all this new infrastructure to meet the needs of industry, when industry can be doing more of that industrial reuse, right? So then at 10:30, last week we had more of the show me the money folks, the VCs and angels, right? This week we're focusing more on ecosystems of support. And one of the fantastic examples here in the DC area, Dave Feldman, founding executive director from Bethesda Green, has got a fascinating story of how they built up this sustainability innovation hub. And it's really more than just water, it's sustainability more generally, but really working throughout the National Capital Region, or the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. That's what that stands for, not Department of Motor Vehicles. So, but you can see in the picture, they actually just had a big anniversary celebration and reopening of their facilities post-COVID. So they've done a lot of new things over there. In fact, some of our startups are now in one of their accelerators in that facility. Seema Alexander and Anjali Mahadevi from DC Startup Week. Seema actually came to our event in DC and was a big part of helping us to rebrand and develop our concepts for Water Pitch. And Anjali is the new climate and sustainability track lead for DC Startup Week. And this has been, it's one of the best startup weeks. If you're not familiar with Startup Weeks, it's fantastic program all over the place. Different cities will have a startup week, but these guys, one of the things that really jumped out at me at DC, one is how diverse the DC startup scene is, right? Very strong, diverse entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, Black entrepreneurs, Hispanic entrepreneurs, Middle Eastern and Asian entrepreneurs. I mean, just you name it. They've got a wide array of entrepreneurs and a lot of support that's available, not just on that startup week, but throughout the year. So a great partner for us. So then we're going to take a break and, go get some lunch or something, and then come back for the afternoon when we meet with our startups. So we're going to kick it off with one of our Best Pitch Award winners, Patrick Ho, who has created something called Forager Station. And he's really become a darling, a lot of the deep tech accelerators in the region. He is working on extracting lithium from water, which has two purposes. One is having cleaner water, right? And the other is meeting growing lithium demand. So, you got your phone, you got your computer, everything's got lithium in it. Maybe you got an electric car, lots of lithium needs. And so this is a really clever way that he's both taking out the lithium and creating markets with those who need lithium. So John Webley, this is a great interview. This one, some of these are longer than others, and John and I kind of got carried away, so it's slightly longer, but he's a fascinating guy. He's got Trevi, and this is one of our later stage startups. People sometimes say, oh, well, you're just early stage. No, this is a later stage startup, but as in his case and George Diefenthal's case and some of the other late stage startups, they're adding a new technology. So they're raising funds for that new technology, as well as seeking clients in new areas, kind of getting closer and closer to exit, right? So they have a zero carbon desalination and sustainable brine concentration for resource recovery. Again, this idea of both removing contaminants, or in this case, salt, and recovering those resources for other uses. Then we are going to hear from two very interesting folks in kind of focusing more on disaster response. One is Quantum Way, founder of Harmony Desalting, revolutionizing desalination for emergency direct potable reuse, right? So people are going to actually drink this water, and they have been. They've been using it in the Middle East, and it's a really fantastic program they've got. Let's see. And then lastly, we have Mark Hogg from WaterStep. So this is a nonprofit that's been around for a good while, and they created this portable sled-based system that's got all sorts of treatment methods on this portable system, right? It's called Water on Wheels, right? And it's been so successful as something that can give rapid response to areas that have lost drinking water because of a hurricane or a flood or some other disaster, that they can quickly get in there with the right treatment and provide at least the emergency needs for water supply until those regular water supply systems are back online. And it's gone so well that Bureau of Reclamation and Corps of Engineers and many other agencies here in the U.S. have turned to WaterStep, and so it's really grown their nonprofit. And by the way, we support, if you're interested in pitching or reverse pitching at Water Pitch, we do support both Vietnamese style and Indian style. That's faux profit and non-profit. Get it? Okay. The jokes just get worse from there, folks. Okay, so anyway, so finally, so we just had Labor Day weekend, and we're gonna have these free catch-up week passes. So basically what that's saying is that we actually just changed the regular general admission, and so that's gonna be retroactive. If you got a general admission last week and you were watching on the days that that these came out, you're still gonna be able to watch this week. But you're also going to be able to go back and watch next week. We do highly recommend that you watch live if you can, because the live chat, that's an opportunity. In most cases, the presenters themselves are in the live chat, certainly Water Citizens in the live chat. So you have an opportunity to really connect with people throughout the week. And then please don't miss our webinar on Friday, so make sure you've signed up for that. And then and we're going to have an announcement this week on the opening of registration for Water Pitch, either in Cincinnati or in Washington, D.C. Over the coming year. And that's it, folks. So go ahead and grab a cup of coffee and get yourself settled in for Zach Dorsey from Water Reuse Association. And thank you for joining us at Water Innovation Nation Celebration Virtual Summit. I'm Dr. Kat Schreier from Water Citizen. I'll see you tomorrow.